Dear friends, welcome to this week's virtual drasha. In the Meretz Hashem, not on this Shabbos, but in a few days from now, Simchas Torah, we will be Zochem Meretz Hashem to complete the cycle of Kriyas HaTorah, to complete the cycle of Torah with the reading of Parshas V'zos HaBracha on Simchas Torah. Sometimes, V'zos HaBracha, I've always felt, doesn't get its real due. Because Baruch Hashem, Simchas Torah is such a day of beautiful, but yet spiritual cacophony. So much going on. It's Labor Day, it's dancing, it's incredible, it's beautiful. And in the midst of all of this, there's this monumental event of the completion of the Torah. There's this monumental event of reading V'zos HaBracha, one of the most beautiful and meaningful and moving parshios. And most of all, it's the end of the era of Moshe Rabbeinu. Although that's not totally true, because the era of Moshe Rabbeinu has continued each and every day since Moshe Rabbeinu went up on Har Sinai. Even before that, since he led us out of Egypt. Even before that, since he was brave enough to encounter HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the burning bush. Before that, since he was brave enough to strike down the Egyptian who was striking the Jew. Moshe Rabbeinu's legacy continues to endure and to inspire. But Moshe Rabbeinu's last days in this world come at the end of Parshas V'zos HaBracha. And amazingly enough, the Torah itself delivers a eulogy, a hesped for Moshe Rabbeinu. The last pasuk in the Torah, Ulechol hayada chazaka, Ulechol hamora hagodla asher asa Moshe le'enei kol Yisrael. The very last pasuk of the Torah is devoted to speaking about Moshe Rabbeinu. Literally translated, L'chol hayada chazaka, the strong hand, L'chol hamora hagodol, the awesome and dramatic reverence, Asher asa Moshe le'enei Klal Yisrael, that Moshe Rabbeinu performed in front of all of Klal Yisrael. And it's an interesting pasuk, because clearly the pasuk is alluding to something incredible and dramatic that Moshe Rabbeinu did. But only one problem, the Torah is not exactly telling us what Moshe Rabbeinu did. It's talking about this strong hand, Yada Chazaka, Mora HaGadol, this overwhelming and massive event that Moshe Rabbeinu performed in front of everyone. Only one issue, what is it? What is the Torah referring to? What is this last event that the Torah is highlighting in Moshe Rabbeinu's eulogy? And Rashi HaKadosh says something amazing. Rashi says it's referring to an incredible event. Shenasa libo lishbar haluchos le'einehem. Moshe Rabbeinu broke the tablets. We know the story. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down after being on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Lechem lo achalti mayim lo shasisi. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I didn't eat bread, I didn't drink water. I was more malach, more angel than man during that time. And I sat in direct, beautiful, holy communion with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and came down with the luchos, came down with the tablets. But upon descending from the mountain, Moshe Rabbeinu sees that the people had lost their way. We built the golden calf. So Moshe Rabbeinu takes the tablets and smashes them down. And Rashi HaKadosh says that is the event that is being referenced in these psukim. What is this Yad HaChazaka? The strong hands refers to Moshe Rabbeinu lifting up the luchos, L'chol hamora hagodol, the great and overwhelming event that Moshe Rabbeinu performed, refers to smashing down. And Moshe Rabbeinu did this le'inei kol Yisrael. Everyone saw it. Everyone saw it because he came down the mountain. Everyone saw him descending. He took the luchos and he smashed them down on the ground. Shenasu libo lishbar haluchos le'eineihem. Shneimar v'ashabreim le'einechem. Moshe had broke the luchos. And Rashi goes on to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu ultimately felt that Moshe Rabbeinu did the right thing by smashing the luchos. And the shayla is obvious. These are the last words the Torah has to say about Moshe Rabbeinu. And this is the event that you're referencing. This is like the crown. Like, in other words, this is a hesped, this is a eulogy. So the havot of a eulogy is to highlight the greatness of the person. So there are so many things you could say about Moshe Rabbeinu. He faced down Pharaoh. He split the sea. He advocated for us in the aftermath of the sin of the golden calf, sin of the spies. He charged us with the notion of destiny, the notion of vision, hope, and optimism. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us about tshuva. He taught us about everything. And this is the event. This is how we're going to end. The last thing the Torah records about Moshe Rabbeinu, the final words about Moshe Rabbeinu, the Ribbon Shalom's eulogy over Moshe Rabbeinu, ultimately, he broke the luchos. Why? Why is that the last thing? And Rabbi Nachman, whose yahrzeit is today, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, whose yahrzeit is today, says something so incredibly beautiful. I want to quote you from the Lashon of the Rebbe. The Rebbe says, Aval yideh hashvira hu ikar hatikun. Sometimes it's only through breaking something that you could truly fix it. Shezehu ba'atzmo bechinas shivrei luchos Sha'af pi shenishtabru, af al pikein al yodam hatikun. Even though Moshe Rabbeinu broke the luchos, it was only through the breakage that Klal Yisrael became whole. And the Rebbe goes on and he explains, because the first set of luchos paved the way for the second set of tablets. And it was the second tablets that ultimately remain in the ark, remain in the Aron, wherever the Aron is to this very day. Says the Rebbe, sometimes in life, you have to break things in order to make them whole. And that, says Rabbi Nachman, is what Moshe Rabbeinu taught us. Perhaps his greatest lesson to us as a people was not something that he said, but rather something he did. Sometimes you have to be willing to break something in order to go ahead and make it whole. And there's a beautiful pasuk in Koheles, which we'll Emiras Hashem read this Shabbos. The pasuk says, this is in Perek Gimel in Koheles. This is like the ace parak. There's a time for this and a time for that. And Shlomo HaMelech writes, Eis la ta'as ve'eis la akor natua. There's a time to plant, and there's a time to uproot that which you have planted. Now, if you look at the textual symmetry, it shouldn't really read that way, because think about this, right? Right before the pasuk was, Eis la ledes ve'eis la mus. There's a time to be born, and there's a time to die. Eis la harog ve'eis l'erpo. There's a time to kill, and there's a time to heal. Eis livkos ve'eis l'schok. A time to cry, and a time to laugh. So therefore, if you were writing the pasuk, you would say, Eis la ta'as. There's a time to plant. Ve'eis liktsar. And there's a time to reap. There's a time to harvest. But it's not what Shlomo HaMelech says. There's a time to plant, and there's a time to uproot that which you have planted. Shlomo HaMelech is teaching us an incredible and profound yesod. That sometimes the hardest thing, but the most important thing in life, is the ability to go ahead and uproot that which you have planted. Sometimes in life we create things. We create lifestyles. We create personalities. We create approaches. And then we realize at some point in time that they're flawed. Maybe they're just flawed. Maybe they were inherently flawed from the beginning. Or maybe at some point in time earlier in my life, it worked. But now it doesn't. Now I need something new. But we become so embedded and so vested in that which we have planted that we just continue to go with it even though it's not the right thing anymore. Shlomo HaMelech says that in life, you have to have the courage to plant, and you also, ve'eis la'akor, you have to have the courage to uproot that which you have planted. Because maybe what worked once upon a time in life doesn't work now. Maybe the attitude, maybe the approach, maybe the midos that worked for me at an earlier stage in life, they don't work anymore. Or maybe they never worked. I thought they worked. And even though I know they don't work, I'm still vested in it. I've been living my life a certain way for so long that I just can't really get myself out of this. Shlomo says, find the courage to uproot. And that's what Rabbi Nachman says what Kadosh Baruch Hu was saying about Moshe Rabbeinu. The greatest accomplishment of Moshe Rabbeinu was that he had the willingness and the courage to break, but not breaking for the sake of breaking so you could take the pieces and reconstitute them into something different. The Rebbe goes on and he says, Ki b'pam harishon kasha sheyetze hadavar metukan b'shleimos. The Rebbe says so beautifully that sometimes we're so nervous to go ahead and uproot that which we have planted or to break that which we have built, to deconstruct in order to reconstruct because we feel like a failure. I failed. I didn't get it right. The Rebbe says there's no embarrassment in failure. Ki b'pam harishon kasha sheyetze hadavar metukan b'shleimos. Most of us can't get things right the first time in life. We just don't get it right the first time. The Medrash brings down Emiras Hashem this coming Shabbos. Well, Emiras Simchas Torah also, but then next Shabbos Bereishis. The Medrash says that Kadosh Baruch Hu created thousands upon thousands of worlds before he created ours. And Rabbi Soloveitchik Zecher Tzadik Livracha asks, I don't understand. Kadosh Baruch Hu, you could get it right the first time. So why are you creating thousands upon thousands of worlds? Just get it right the first time. And the Rav says, Kadosh Baruch Hu was modeling for us that it's okay not to get it right the first time. It's okay to build something and then say, you know what, I tried, but this is not good. This is not what I need, or it's not what I need now. Maybe it suited my needs once upon a time, but it's not what I need now. I need something different. And Kadosh Baruch Hu models this for us. He created and said, nah, this is not the right one. Deconstructed. Created, deconstructed thousands upon thousands of times to teach us, like Rabbi Nachman says, Ki b'pam harishon kasha sheyetzi hadavar metukan b'shleimus. It's hard to get things right on the first time. I'd even say a little bit differently. It's virtually impossible to get it right on the first time. So if I've created things in life that no longer work, there's no shame in smashing them and then taking the pieces and rebuilding. There's no shame in uprooting that which you have planted in order to create something new. There's no shame in starting it. Not only is there no shame, but when you do that, you're actually being divine. Kadosh Baruch Hu Kiviyachol didn't get it right the first time either. And he started over and over again. And if Kadosh Baruch Hu could do it, then I could certainly do it as well. And this is Rabbi Nachman, is why the Torah Kedosha ends off with this event by Moshe Rabbeinu. Because the greatest lesson that Moshe Rabbeinu taught us in his 40 years of incredible, overwhelming, and dynamic spiritual leadership was find the courage to break the things you've built so that you could build something even better for your future. Sometimes you have to smash the first set of luchos so that you can get the second set, because those are eternal. Those are even more beautiful. Those are even more incredible. Find the courage to break so that you could build something new. Find the courage to uproot that which you have planted, recognizing no one gets it right the first time around, even Kiviyachal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And there is no shame in starting again. More, there's honor, there's kavod, there's glory, there's kedusha in breaking and then rebuilding. And what a profound lesson for us to go into Shabbos Cholamayid, in Yom Hashem Hoshana Rabbah, Simchas Torah. For the last 2 years, our people have accomplished so much. But there's a piece of us that has remained broken since October 7th. And to think that hopefully, and I think we all approach this with guarded optimism, that maybe the breakage, maybe, in Yom Hashem in the next couple of days, we will be zocheh to gather up the pieces. The luchos were broken October 7th, Simchas Torah 2 years ago. And perhaps with this deal, with this ceasefire, with this hostage deal, maybe, Emir Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us the opportunity to gather all the pieces. Each one of our brethren in captivity, those who are alive and those who are no longer alive, are broken pieces of our first set of luchos. They're the broken pieces. And perhaps now, Emir Hashem, we will be zocheh to bring home those pieces. And with those pieces, we will be zocheh to build something even more beautiful. There's beauty in the breakage. And sometimes that which you can build when you uproot that which was planted, that which you could build with the broken pieces of the luchos is even more beautiful. May we be zocheh, Emir Hashem, to bring home every single one of our broken pieces of Am Yisrael. And with those broken pieces, may we, as a people, as a nation, and as individuals, have the courage, the strength, the wisdom to build something even more beautiful. Wishing everyone a good Erev Shabbos, a good Mayid, a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh, and Emir Hashem. Let us all hear Besoros Tovos for all of Am Yisrael.